We are live.
Welcome everyone to Connected Learning TV. This is the second webinar of our three-part February 2016 series titled From Heroes to Villains or Back Again, Setting Off Creative Sparks for Young Makers with the Wattpad/DeviantArt Twist Fate Challenge, which was organized by Wattpad and DeviantArt with co-sponsorship from the Connected Learning Alliance, the Young Adult Library Services Association, and the National Writing Project. Over the course of this series, we'll get to know the Wattpad and DeviantArt communities and share information about how to participate in their Twist Fate Challenge. As part of Teen Tech Week, the Young Adult Library Services Association, also known as YALSA, is teaming up with the Connected Learning Alliance, DeviantArt, National Writing Project, and Wattpad for this challenge, and the goal is to encourage young people ages 13 to 17 to tell stories about what happens when a hero becomes a villain or a villain a hero through writing, video, digital art, animation, etc., and sharing them across the DeviantArt and Wattpad platforms. The challenge takes place March 6th through April 6th of this year, and the first week is Teen Tech Week. And today we're going to be focusing on the Wattpad platform. So if you're watching this, please take a moment to share it with your networks. I'm your host, Candace Mack, the current president of YALSA and the interim director of teen services at the Los Angeles Public Library. Today I'm talking with Jingjing Tan and Cassandra Tate about the Wattpad community. Before we dive into our chat, let's go over a couple quick details. To those watching live right now, we welcome your comments and questions through either the Twitter hashtags Connected Learning and Twist Fate, or the Q&A feature that you should see within the video player. We'll do our best to address your questions here in the Google Hangout. This webinar is also being co-streamed at the National Writing Project's educatorinnovator.org. Before we begin, I'd like to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. Jingjing, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, my name is Jingjing Tan, and I lead the community engagement team at Wattpad. So what we do is we are a group of community managers, and we focus on connecting with the community to keep it thriving.
Great. Cassandra?
Hi, I'm Cassandra Tate. I'm in my senior year in high school, and I'm a Wattpad writer, so yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Cassandra, can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a Wattpad writer?
Well, I guess I started writing on Wattpad about 2 years ago. So I started posting my novel, The Famix, on my 17th birthday. And I had really found Wattpad because my father had sent me a link to an article about how a few Wattpad writers were getting published, and my sister was like, why don't you try that out? And so I decided I would give it a shot. And ever since then, everything I've gotten to do on Wattpad has been crazy. Like, I was like really surprised kind of by how welcoming everybody was, mostly because it seems like people who have really big stories wouldn't be too welcoming because maybe they have an ego or something, but everyone was so welcoming, and I really found a place almost immediately. And my journey has led me to like career opportunities I never thought I'd have before graduating high school, before even going to college. And honestly, my journey on Wattpad has been really life-changing in that aspect, because before I thought about posting on Wattpad, I was kind of thinking about just not writing anymore, like it was just going to be a hobby. But now I can really see it being something substantial thanks to all of this. So that's been really nice. That's basically it.
That's awesome. Do you mostly use Wattpad on your out-of-school time, or has it also been able to help you in your sort of in-classroom time or in-school time?
Well, I mostly write my chapters for Wattpad and post out of school, but I don't think it really affects my school time because it's a really nice break from having to do homework, getting to write or post or be a part of just the community on Wattpad. And so it hasn't really like affected it negatively at all. So that's nice.
That's great. Oh no, I was wondering actually if if it's helped you positively, like given you like more confidence when like writing things for school.
Oh yeah, definitely. When we have an essay, it's like a 4-page essay, and I'm like, oh, I can write this. That's easy because I'm usually writing like an 8-page chapter by the end of the week. So being able, like having this confidence of being able to have written for companies and writing on Wattpad, it's made me more confident in my like essay writing in school and things like that.
That's awesome. What are some new ways that you've seen young Wattpad writers tell stories in the digital age?
Well, it's really interesting how much storytelling has really changed because of the digital age, because there are so many ways, especially on Wattpad, to make what you're reading more than just words that you're reading on a screen or on a page. On Wattpad, you can post a lot of multimedia right into the text, or above the text, you can attach videos for your readers to watch or to listen to while they read. And you can even add a cast of characters on Wattpad of who you want your readers to picture. So it's a lot more visual than just reading. And so, like, I don't know, I guess that's really, like, the whole, like, digital aspect has really changed the way that stories are told, because it's not just everything you're picturing in your head anymore. It can be completely personified or put into a video. Like readers can make videos about your story, like from clips from movies or music videos that reminds them of it, and it's really cool to see how people can do that and how they can kind of add content that has to do with the story.
That's great. Jingjing, have you heard any feedback about like those multimedia aspects being like a favorite part of Wattpad or things like that?
We actually see that every day. Just it's like a really, really cool experience for readers, for fans. When they see multimedia, when they see all these sorts of new things being integrated into a story, it's kind of like a new form of storytelling. And it's a really, really involved experience. And people, if you hop onto this comment section, you'll see all sorts of positive responses, people reacting to the storyline, so forth. There's always a really, really good reaction to those kinds of stories. So I just wanted to kind of elaborate on Cassandra's points in the sense that the new ways that we've seen young Wattpad writers tell stories, we see them happening in many different trends. So there's new ways of telling stories via new formats, via multimedia, which Cassandra touched upon, and via social, which is the whole commenting part. So for the new formats that we see young Wattpad writers telling stories, there's a lot of different examples. I can just name you a couple off the top of my head. There's stories being told entirely through letter form, so letters from the characters of the stories writing to each other. There are stories told entirely through text messages, which I think is really, really cool. Text messages between the characters. There are stories that are featuring points of views of characters, so each chapter will have different perspectives and different points of views. There's recently been something called 6-word stories, which are basically short 6-word phrases that would tell a story premise. So an example of that would be, quote, "I finally decided to let go," end quote. And that would be a chapter within a collection of 6-word stories. It's a really creative way for short, really, really short form storytelling. We also see people getting together to tell stories via magazines. So people get together and every month or so they would post a new magazine issue, and they would talk about beauty tips, tips and tricks, advice columns, etc., which I think is really cool. And another format that we've seen so far is choose your own adventure. So the author would set up a premise, and then they would have different options. And if you choose option 1, you go to chapter 2. If you choose option 2, you go to chapter 3, so forth. So you actually have parallel story plots happening, and depending on what the reader chooses, the story evolves differently. So we see a lot of very cool new formats happening. Multimedia, Cassandra already talked about. So there's book trailers and videos, music, images, embedded images to help visualize the setting, and photos being embedded in things like journals. And lastly is the social side of storytelling, which aside from the comments, inline comments, where readers are reacting to specific paragraphs of a story, there's also, we see writers leveraging something called author's notes. So writers actually, at the end of the chapter, they would interact with their fans. They would post things like, what do you think of this character? What do you think will happen next? Just to get, feedback and reactions from their fans. Another way that writers have used Wattpad socially is to take reader comments into consideration in informing the next chapter. So for people who don't know, a lot of writers write serially, and Cassandra is one of those writers. She updates every Friday. And because readers are following the story every week, they have a chance to give feedback to the writer and sometimes guess at plot twists, guess at story development, twists, things like that. And sometimes the authors would actually take into consideration the suggestions that the readers put out. So sometimes a story can evolve in a completely new form based on reader feedback. So those are kind of the 3 main trends that we see in terms of new ways that young writers tell stories. So new formats, multimedia, and social. And I think the really powerful thing with Wattpad is that Wattpad is a place where imagination can be freed. And it's really a place where people escape into stories. They create this whole world in their head, and they are able to share it with other people, and they connect through that escape. And people create entire worlds from scratch with either original characters and story settings that they develop, or fan fiction of existing entities like TV shows, movies, celebrities. And really, it resonates well with what we see. What we've seen is that it resonates well, especially with the teen demographic, because teenagehood is a time for exploration, for taking risks, for exploring identity, and they really need a safe space to exert that creative freedom and to be able to examine the world through a storytelling lens. And so I think that's what's really powerful about the community of storytellers we have on Wattpad.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And just the level of conversation that you're able to have, I'm sure, as a writer and as a reader, just sounds really wonderful. And in fact, as you were both describing the comment section, I just sort of imagined like a million reaction GIFs that must be on the comments for so many of the stories when there's different plot twists. Those seem like made for Wattpad. Which sort of brings me to the question, since I saw that, Cassandra, you've built 21,000 followers and that your story has been read 1.4 million times, which is so cool. How do you deal with the pressure then of, if people react, depending on what readers' reactions are to your stories?
Well, I guess when I started writing, there wasn't a lot of reader reactions, so by the end there were a lot more. And so my story really had to progress because of the readers' reactions, because if people would guess things too easily, then I'd be like, well, I should make the exact opposite happen. Then I would have a big plot twist, and it'd be fun to see how people would react to that. But it's a lot of pressure to tell a good story, because you don't want to do something that's too cliched, or you don't want to do anything that people have probably heard before. And so like keeping people like interested in the story is hard because you want to make sure your chapter has enough action and has an ending that isn't going to make people forget to come back next week. So that's been a really big challenge. So a lot of my chapters end with cliffhangers because of that. It's been really nice to hear feedback from readers immediately because it helps me shape my ideas. And I really like to hear, like, if I did something that I thought maybe wasn't that exciting, to hear a lot of, like, crazy comments about it. And, like, it really gives me more confidence that what I'm writing is good or what I'm writing should change. So to get the feedback, it's worth the pressure of having to write something well every single week. I really like that aspect of Wattpad.
That's great. It sounds really motivating too. So what tips or advice would you give someone who's just starting out with Wattpad, especially if it's their first time entering a Wattpad challenge?
If you're just to someone who's just starting Wattpad, it probably will seem like a little hopeless because there's so many stories, and so the real challenge is to just keep like posting even if you don't think that you're getting enough recognition. And so if you're doing a contest, just do as many as you can because doing contests helps people see you, it helps people see your writing, even if it's just a little glimpse. And if they like what they see, they'll go and see your bigger stories and see what else you have to offer. And I think that's a really wonderful way of getting people involved in the community altogether because I've seen so many people who I follow participate in so many contests, and it makes me want to participate in all of those contests too. And like just seeing people progress when they win a contest, even if they don't, they had fun writing it and they got something out of it. So I think that someone who's just starting, like whatever happens, it's not really how many views you get, it's the kind of reactions you get. So if people like it, even if it's just 5 people who like it, it's better than just having your words in a Word document and never showing it to the world. That's about it.
Did you start off entering a contest, or did you post your own stories on Wattpad first?
I started just posting my own story. I didn't really know of any contests because I didn't really know how to find them. But when I heard about contests, I wanted to enter them, and I would enter them, but I didn't really win anything. But it was nice to be a part of it, and it really helped get my profile out there and have people read more of my stories.
That's awesome. If you could have Wattpad integrated into your sort of in-class or programs at the library, what would appeal to you, or how do you think, as somebody who already uses Wattpad, like what do you think might help you with a contest like this, or just your writing in general, if it was sort of what type of support do you think that educators or libraries could provide Wattpad users to sort of help with the creative process, or your post every week?
I think educators and librarians could really help with the whole Wattpad process because just like any writing group, your writing group can be based on Wattpad, and everyone can have a profile and have a story that they're working on. And since it's easy to just post chapter to chapter, you could post a chapter and give it to a educator or a librarian and say, what do you think of this? Have little challenges, you could have your own little Wattpad notebook that you have different entries in, and I feel like there's so many different options and so many possibilities that could come with using Wattpad in those situations. And the fact that anyone can see what you're writing and give feedback, I think it would be really helpful, and it's a pretty safe environment and to like share your stories because everyone's mostly very supportive. So I think it would be a really nice thing to integrate in more things than just at home.
And like Cassandra said, I think there's actually a lot of untapped potential for librarians, for educators to leverage Wattpad as a network. So the way that I see it would be from a consumption side, from a story creation side, and from a collaboration side. So on the consumption side, so reading stories, I wonder if there are opportunities to leverage the free and accessible Wattpad content, the 200 million stories that we have, that can be used in literacy curriculums and library programs. I think that content really, really appeals to the teen demographic for several reasons. One being that the themes are very relevant and relatable. It's very much, themes of the challenges that people go through in teenagehood, the challenges of finding your identity, finding your voice. I think it's something that teens, especially for the content that's written by teens, that other teens will find relevant and relatable to read. And they are reading a lot of that. Average session length on Wattpad, I think I mentioned, is 30 minutes. So people are really indulging in that kind of content. Also, I think Wattpad content still allows the gaining of skills like comprehension and critical thinking. So if these are the skills that we want to teach in schools, then what better way to leverage Wattpad as an informal network of gaining those skills through Wattpad content. And most importantly, I think Wattpad makes it very aspirational. Aspirational in the sense that it's empowering for teens to see that their peers are writing stories, their peers are building their fan base, their peers are getting exposure, their peers are getting their voice heard. So, Cassandra is a really good role model for that. She's built her own fan base from scratch. She's able to connect with readers through her stories. It's a really, really inspiring story, and I think that's the aspirational part that would appeal to a lot of teen users. So that's on the consumption side. The creation side, I think, so my team is community engagement, and our principles that we operate under are very similar to the educators' principles, in the sense that we want to provide support as needed, but mostly we just want to let writers do their own thing. Because what we found is that writing is a very vulnerable experience. As soon as I know that someone I know offline will read my Wattpad story, I clamp up, I get writer's blocks. It's really important to maintain that level of anonymity and not being judged for how you express yourself on Wattpad. So because of that, what we've tried to create is a safe and free space to explore without much intervention. So we don't do too much intervening in the writing process. We help guide writers when they need support, but we mostly provide support on an as-needed basis. And instead just giving people that free space and safe space to explore. And so I think from an educator perspective, maybe there are opportunities to have discussions and conversations about the writing experience, not so much about the content, but maybe like how has your experience as a writer been on Wattpad? What are some challenges? What are some challenges that you've had with story creation, character development, all those things, and provide support as needed. I think that would be really empowering for writers that way. And on the collaboration side, mostly just allowing people with similar interests to get together and create together. So if you're an educator and if you're a librarian and you're seeing a lot of people showing similar interests, help connect them, help get them together and create something together on Wattpad. I think there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, it's really nice and reassuring to hear because it seems like writing can often be sort of a solitary experience. And so but for educators and librarians, right, like, and part of why YALSA is so excited to be part of this project is the idea of introducing our in-person patrons to Wattpad and DeviantArt, right? But then also connecting our maybe the patrons we don't even know about that are who live in the community and who are on Wattpad and on DeviantArt, but like we never see in the library, and hopefully making some of those face-to-face connections. And then especially for the teens that we work with that are already arty or writers who don't know about those two platforms, introducing the two platforms to them. So it's nice to know that that even though the art and the writing piece can be very solitary, that there is a place for educators and librarians to help encourage that creativity through the platforms. Have you had any face-to-face experiences that have come out of your participation in Wattpad? Like, I don't know if Wattpad is a new platform for me, quite frankly, and so I don't know if people have like Wattpad meetups, and in and that type of thing.
So actually, because my job is engagement, I talk to Wattpad users on a day-to-day basis. I meet new Wattpadders every day. We bring writers into the office. We talk to them. We talk to readers to find out, what are they reading? How are they finding the reading experience? We actually do have Wattpad meetups happening organically across the world. So there's actually a Toronto-based one. Wattpad is based in Toronto, and we have a really, really good Wattpad writer who organizes very regularly meetups for writers to get together and talk about, how to craft a story, how to leverage Wattpad as a way to build a fan base, and so forth. So yeah, I do a lot of that by virtue of my job.
That's awesome. Cassandra, have you like met any other Wattpad authors that might live near you or anything like that?
I've met a few people from Wattpad. I met one of my really closest friends from Wattpad, Elle Rose. We met at a One Direction concert, and it was really nice to meet her because she has a really big following, bigger than mine, and we were able to bond over things that we had been texting about, and it was really nice to meet her there. And I've been able to meet about 3 or so actual fans of my writing before, just either they knew I was going to be somewhere or just out of random, and to just hear in person someone who likes my writing has been really humbling and wonderful. And it's been really nice to be able to talk about the whole Wattpad process with people in person, just those few times I've gotten to, because I'm the only one in my family who posts on Wattpad. And I have a few friends who are on Wattpad at school, and we'll be able to talk about the way things are on Wattpad. And so it's a very collaborative thing when you get the chance to meet people and talk about it. And it can be very collaborative just through messaging as well. So that's been really nice.
That's great. I also wanted to ask, so you're 17, right?
I'm 18.
Oh, I'm sorry. You started when you were 17,
yes.
Right? So do people usually, or is there the ability for people to post how old they are, when they post stories? Just because, Jing Jing was saying, I think your experience is super inspiring, and I think that it would be really great to sort of let more teens know, especially the ones who might be considering entering the Twist Fate Challenge, how many, folks that are already on Wattpad are, around their same age.
Well, just about every writer I come in contact with is basically 18 and younger, in their 20s, maybe in college. And so it's a very young community that I've been able to be around. So my readers can be anything from my age, older than me, or a lot of them are younger. And the ones who are younger, like 15 or 14, they're usually the ones who will send me messages saying that I've inspired them to write their own story. And so I think that that's a very inspiring thing for any teenager who wants to write, to see someone who's just around their age writing too and doing well, because that's what led me to Wattpad in the first place, seeing how some people were getting published off of it. And I thought, that seems like a very nice website to be on, just to get your work out there and to get feedback, no matter if that means a publishing deal or not. And so I think basically I've only seen like a few adults on Wattpad from what I've seen. So the community is largely based off of teenagers. So I think to people who don't know if they should join or not, it's like the perfect demographic for them to join into, in my opinion.
I think like Cassandra said, because teens are very tech savvy, they're able to find each other very easily. And so they are able to inspire each other, find their communities and groups. Wattpad is for everyone though, and we have seen older writers and readers get together. There are people writing literary fiction together, there are people writing speculative sci-fi, and what we've seen on Wattpad is that no matter what your age, you'll be able to find the demographic of the community that you gel well with. So yeah, I think it's really easy for people to find the communities that they belong in.
That's awesome. So, well, I have a question, but I don't want to put you on the spot, Cassandra. But I was wondering whether or not you would be considering entering the Twist Fate Challenge.
Well, I heard that the challenge was for 13 to 17-year-olds.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I'm too old. I really wanted to know. I was talking about it with my sister, and we're like, we never have this problem. It's usually you have to be over 18. So now that we're 18, there's this problem. And I really wanted to join it, though, because my sister loves art, and she could have done the art side, and I would have been able to write. So if I could, I would, honestly.
Thanks. Sorry. So I guess you you couldn't. So but well, I guess though, if you know anyone who's 17 and under, it would be great to encourage them to enter. I guess, are there any other tips or things that you would want to share with either other teens who might be considering entering the contest, or educators or librarians in terms of helping people get involved with Wattpad and the contest?
Well, I think that any way that you can, it's important to just get involved in these kind of things. And if an educator or librarian can recommend this to their students, then having more people involved can only mean good things. You can only create something beautiful out of a piece of art or writing. And it can only like help you grow more, because I remember when I was in middle school, we had a writing competition, and I got 3rd place in it, and that's when I thought, oh, maybe I could do writing. And so something like that can be very impactful, especially if a school is bringing it to you or a library is, because that's basically how I started writing. So I think it's very important to just get involved no matter what, even if you don't think that you are that good at writing or drawing. I think you could surprise yourself.
And just to add on to Cassandra's point, because Wattpad is a more social way of storytelling, there's actually a lot of opportunities for collaboration and finding support with other people. So what we've seen is that on Wattpad there are a lot of people getting together and supporting each other in very organic ways. So for example, people would help each other to add polish to each other's stories by creating covers for each other, trailers for each other, They edit each other's stories, so there's a lot of support there. We also see people creating stories together, so co-writing. I talked about magazines, and there's community compilations, so soliciting stories from the community and putting it into a story on its own. So there's a lot of creation together happening. There's also ways that you can help others get more exposure. So if you are a reader and you want to support your favorite writer, you can do a review for them, a book review. You can organize your own book clubs. You can recommend your favorite author by broadcasting to your own followers. So you can support your writer that way. And another way for collaboration support is getting together for a common cause. So for example, if you really feel strongly about a particular interest. So I know that Cassandra organizes what's called the Sidekicks, which are a group of sci-fi writers, and they support each other. They own a profile together, and they really share tips and tricks and have their own community to support each other in writing sci-fi, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I think writing doesn't need to be very solitary, and storytelling as well. I think stories are evolved and become better as you collaborate with more people. So if you are afraid of starting out, if you are not sure of how to create a cover or how to start drafting your first story, you need writing prompts and etc., things like that, you can always find support within the Wattpad community. It's knowing where to find it, and we have specific ways of channeling you to those support resources if you need them.
That's great. Actually, speaking of which, can either of you speak a little bit about how someone gets started if they've never used Wattpad before, like just even the sign-up process and how to submit a story?
I can do that. I'll see if I can do screen share. But should we start from the process where you're signing up, or should we just use my profile as an example?
Why don't we do the process of signing up, just in case? Just so that we start at the very beginning.
Okay. So I'm going to see if I could do screen share. So bear with me. Oh, is it working? Okay, cool. So can everyone see the Wattpad home screen? Okay, cool. Awesome. So when you are on Wattpad, and Wattpad is both a website and an app, I can't really, website and the iOS and Android apps, I can't really show you the mobile version, but I can show you the web version. So when you go to wattpad.com, you can click sign up. You can sign up via Facebook, or you can create your own account. You can use your pen name or whatever you would like to stay anonymous. So for me, I'm just going to create a testing username. So because our challenge is Twist Fate, I'm going to put Twist Fate Challenge. And that will be my username. Oh, it's actually longer than what it should be. Twist Fate Test. Let's try that. Okay, so that one works. And then you'll have to put in an email. So I'll put in my testing email, test at background. And then create a password. And just click Start Reading. And voila, it's actually really, really easy. You do need to verify your email though, so I'm going to do that right now, but I'm going to turn off screen share and we'll get back to it. So bear with me while I verify my email.
Thanks for walking us through that. That was super easy. So that should hopefully be reassuring to people who've never done it before.
Yeah, not a problem. I know that it could be a little intimidating, but hopefully the interface is our interface is intuitive enough that you'll be able to do that on your own. So I think I got it activated. I'll go back to screen sharing. Okay, cool. Awesome. So this is now my verified account. So you'll probably see a home screen like this. And if you go to your profile, so there's a menu bar right here. You can go to my profile. And right now it's an empty profile. What you can do is help people get to know you. So you can add your own description to let people know more about you. You can create a reading list. If you are a reader and you want to collect stories based on certain themes, you can create a reading list that is public. Or you can just read and add stories to your library, which is private. So whatever stories you add to your library, other people won't see. So because we are doing a writing challenge, I'm going to go to the same drop-down menu and click Works. And it says, you haven't written any stories yet. So I'll create a story. And so what you need to do first is fill in all the story details. So title of your story, Twist Fate. And write a description. So that's the many amazing ways of twisting a character. Something like that. You will need to add tags. So tags will help with discovery. So adding keywords that are relevant to what your story is about. So because I'm doing a test, I'm just going to put a test as tag. And then you can select a category. Right now it's pretty random, so I'll put it in random. Copyright, I don't think I need to specify anything like that. And mature rating is no. So I'm going to save. So now you have your interface where you can start adding in chapters. So this is basically where your story description and the overall look of your story is. And so you can start adding in parts. So the first part, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to start drafting. So test chapter 1. So that's the title of the chapter. You can actually add multimedia on the top of the chapter. So you can do images, you can do video. For the sake of this, I'm just going to be writing. So test chapter 1. You know, just very intuitively drafting up your story. And once you are done, you can save and preview. This will not publish it, but it will let you see what it looks like from a reader's perspective. So this is what it looks like from a reader's perspective. If you are happy with it, then you can go back to the editing interface and click Publish. For me, they are recommending that I add a cover image because it helps with discovery. So that's one thing that if you are hoping to enter the challenge, we would really encourage you to do. So for me, I'm just going to skip that for now. And yeah, your story is now public and published, so I can view and share my story. That's basically what we've drafted so far. So if you want to add more chapters, go back to Works, click the story that you were writing, and click New Part. So we did test chapter 1, so now we can do test chapter 2, and same thing. Yeah. And again, you can preview it, and if you like, you can publish it. And yeah, that's very simple, very intuitive. And yeah, I hope that's good to walk you through what to do when you are a new Wattpad writer.
Thanks, Jingjing. That was awesome. So yeah, and super easy too. So that's so great. So once people have, you know, put up their part 1s, part 2s, part 100s, whatever, do they go to community? I know that since the contest doesn't start until March 6th, so it's not live yet on the site. Would they go to like community in order to submit their part or their story to?
That's a good question. Yeah. So if you remember, there was a section in my demo where you put in tags. So the way that we usually collect contest entries, and in this case, we'll have a consolidated tag for all the entries to be collected. So we still have to decide on the finalized tag. It's either Twist Fate or Twist Fate Challenge. But once we've consolidated that, we will definitely let you know, and you just have to add the tag into the tag section, and that's where we will be able to find all of the stories that are entered into the contest.
That's great. That's so exciting. And I hope a lot of people enter, and I can't wait to see some of the stories that come out of it. One thing that I just wanted to add is I know that we finalized the editors this week, and by that I just mean that I don't think this has been necessarily mentioned yet in the series, but the finalists from DeviantArt and Wattpad from the challenge, they're actually going to have their pieces published in a physical book that's going to be distributed to DeviantArt and Wattpad, and also to libraries, public and school libraries through the all over the nation. Basically, public libraries and school libraries that have signed up to be part of Teen Tech Week are going to get copies of the book to put in their local agencies for people to check out and read the physical versions of the stories and see the physical versions of the art for this challenge. So that's really exciting. And the 4 editors that are going to help choose the finalists that are going to be in the book are Sarah Ryan, who is an author, graphic novelist, and librarian. Also, Brian Kessinger, who's going to be featured in the next webinar that's going to be February 25th. He's an artist that works with Disney and DeviantArt and has fabulous work on there. Also, YA author Lauren Kate is going to be an editor, and there's also going to be another educator who's going to be the last, well, maybe not last, but one of the last but certainly not least editors from the University of Colorado, and he's going to help finalize all of the entries as well. So for all of the contest rules, it's for the Wattpad side, although the rules will be the same for the Wattpad entries as well as the DeviantArt entries. You can go to www.wattpad.com/twistfatechallenge for all of the contest rules, just so that you can have more information about it. Although the rules haven't been posted yet, since the contest itself isn't going to be live until March 6th. So we're all really excited about it, and we hope that you enter. Are there any last words of wisdom that Cassandra or Jingjing you'd like to share with our audience?
Okay, Cassandra.
Well, do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. Well, I guess just people should just keep writing, because I think it's just, I don't know, it just always amazes me when I go onto Wattpad and see so many stories from so many different kinds of people from like all around the world. So I just really hope that this contest can really inspire people into making something, especially thinking outside the box with making a hero a villain or a villain a hero. And I just really hope that it inspires someone. That's just like the most important thing. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, and it's really, I work a lot with our community, and it's really inspirational to see the level of creativity, the level of collaboration happening in the community. And I think this is a really, really good opportunity for the partnership between Wattpad, between DeviantArt, YALSA, NWP, and Connected Learning. I think it's a really, really good opportunity for us to all work together at this shared goal. And we talked about how educators and librarians have been under leveraged, and vice versa. Wattpad has been under leveraged in educational settings, and I think there's a really natural syndication there, and a partnership is very natural to happen there. So really looking forward to seeing the awesome things that will come out of this contest, and yeah, really, really excited to be working with you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, we're really excited to be working with Wattpad, with DeviantArt, with the Connected Learning Alliance and the National Writing Project. And I just wanted to correct what I was saying earlier. The fourth, but certainly not last or least, editor is Antero Garcia from Colorado State University. So we wanted to have an artist, an author, and an educator, and at the very least involved in helping to do the editing for the finalists. So we're really excited that they joined on to edit the book that's going to be coming out, and we're really excited to be partnering with all of these fantastic organizations as well, working on this challenge. So yeah, we're really excited to see all of the wonderful things that come out of this, and hopefully it'll lead to more partnerships in the future. Part of the reason why what we talked about having the contest March 6th through 11th, March 6th through April 6th, was to give people a chance to work on the projects maybe during like spring break. And one of our hopes for the future is maybe expanding and possibly doing another contest in the summer when people have hopefully even more time off of school to put together awesome pieces, writing and art pieces. So well, I think unless anyone else has any other last words until February 25th, I think that'll be it for today's webinar. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This wraps up the second webinar of this February 2016 series on the Twist Fate Challenge, but please feel free to keep the energy going on Twitter using the hashtags Connected Learning and Twist Fate. There will also be a full video recording of this webinar available immediately on www.connectedlearningtv with other curated content on the way. If you found this conversation helpful, please share it with your networks, and if you'd like to know more about upcoming webinars from Connected Learning TV, which is now produced by the National Writing Project's Educator Innovator, please visit www.educatorinnovator.org and sign up for the email newsletter. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next week at the same time for a hangout where we get to know the DeviantArt community in more depth. Good night!